There's a fascinating moment that happens in every conversation you have. Most people miss it entirely. But if you notice it, and more importantly, if you use it, something unexpected occurs. People instantly feel more drawn to you. They trust you faster. They want to spend more time with you. But here's what makes this so strange. You don't need to be funny. You don't need to be impressive. You don't even need to be interesting. And yet the effect is so reliable that researchers have documented it happening thousands of times. So what's actually going on? Let me start with a simple observation that might explain why you feel disconnected from certain people. You're in a conversation with someone new. They talk about their weekend. They mention their job. They share an opinion. And nothing resonates. There's no spark. So you assume you're just not compatible. You move on. But what if the problem wasn't compatibility at all? What if there was something else happening beneath the surface? Something so subtle that your conscious mind never registers it, yet your entire nervous system responds to it instantly. Here's what researchers discovered. People don't like you based on how smart you are. They don't like you based on how accomplished you are. They like you based on something far simpler. They like you based on the feeling you give them about themselves. Think about that for a second. Not how they feel around you. How they feel about themselves when they're with you. There's a psychological principle called the halo effect, but what we're talking about goes deeper. It's about something neuroscientists call neural mirroring. Your brain is essentially a prediction machine. When you interact with someone, your brain is constantly scanning for information. Are they safe? Do they understand me? Do they think I'm worthy of their time? And here's where most people get it wrong. They try to make people like them by proving something about themselves. They list accomplishments. They tell impressive stories. They try to seem valuable. But this backfires. It feels transactional. It feels like a performance. The real psychology works the opposite way. Let me tell you about Marcus. He's a manager at a tech company. One day, he realized something uncomfortable. His team seemed to avoid him. Meetings felt tense. People didn't volunteer for projects he suggested. So Marcus decided to change one thing. He stopped talking about his credentials. He stopped steering conversations toward proving his expertise. Instead, when someone on his team mentioned a problem, Marcus did something different. He asked a follow-up question, not to interview them, not to assess them, but to genuinely understand what they meant. His team member mentioned struggling with a difficult client. Marcus didn't respond with, "Here's how I would handle it." He responded with, "What made this client so difficult?" And then he listened. Actually listened. He even took notes. Do you see what happened there? His team member felt seen. They felt understood. They didn't feel judged. And something shifted, but within weeks, the tension disappeared. People started volunteering for his projects again. This is where something called the Chameleon Effect comes into play, the natural human tendency to mirror the behaviors and emotional states of the people around us. But this doesn't mean pretending to be someone you're not. It means matching someone's emotional wavelength. It means showing that you're tracking what matters to them. There's also a principle researchers call reciprocal vulnerability. When someone feels like you genuinely care about understanding them, not just getting what you need from them, something in their brain relaxes. Their nervous system shifts from defensive mode to connection mode. The science here is increasingly clear. When people feel understood and valued, their brain releases oxytocin and dopamine. These chemicals create the sensation of trust and belonging. But this only happens when they believe you're not performing, when they believe your interest is genuine. Here's the problem most of us face. We're so focused on managing how people perceive us that we forget to actually perceive them. We're so worried about being liked that we miss the one thing that actually creates liking. Think about the people you genuinely trust. Not people you admire from a distance. Not people who are impressive, but people you actually trust with your thoughts and concerns. What did those people do? They made you feel like your experience mattered to them. They asked questions that suggested they cared about your perspective, not just your compliance. Now, this doesn't mean you should become someone's emotional dump. This isn't about being endlessly available or accepting poor treatment. It's about a specific, powerful skill, the ability to make someone feel genuinely valued within normal conversation. Research from the University of Chicago suggests that when someone feels truly heard, not just listened to, but understood at a deeper level, their perception of you fundamentally shifts. They see you as more trustworthy, more competent, and more likable, even if nothing has objectively changed about you. The practical version of this is deceptively simple. First, when someone speaks to you, actually pause before responding. Your instinct is to formulate your response while they're still talking. Your brain is already crafting what you'll say next. So pause. Let there be a full second of silence. This accomplishes two things. You actually absorb what they said, and they feel like you took their words seriously enough to pause before answering. Second, when you respond, reflect back what they said using your own words, not repeating them robotically, but showing that you understood the emotional content, not just the facts. If someone says work has been overwhelming, Don't just nod and move on. Say, so you've been feeling overwhelmed with everything on your plate. This tiny act of reflection signals that you genuinely processed what they told you. Third, ask follow-up questions about their experience, not about information you want to extract. There's a difference between what happened and how did that affect you. The first is transactional, the second is genuine, and people feel that distinction immediately. Fourth, share something vulnerable yourself when it's appropriate. You don't need to match the intensity of their story, but showing that you're not pretending to have everything figured out creates an implicit permission for them to be more authentic with you too. And fifth, stop trying to be impressive. I know this sounds strange as advice, but the moment you relax the performance, people feel the shift. You become more real, and real is more trustworthy than impressive. Here's what connects all of this. The psychology trick that makes people instantly like you isn't actually a trick. It's an elimination of performance. It's the choice to prioritize understanding someone over impressing them. And the strange part is that this approach actually makes you more impressive in the way that matters most. Because people remember how you made them feel about themselves, that opening mystery. Why? Some people seem to instantly connect with others, while some people feel perpetually misunderstood. It's not about charisma or natural charm or any trait you're born with. It's about a decision. The decision to genuinely care about someone's experience more than you care about their approval. And here's what psychologists know. That decision, made consistently, changes everything about how people perceive you.